Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. April 23rd, 2018.
The Kuhner Report is powered by Kelly Financial Services. Cleaning up your financial bull. Get the peace of mind that you deserve at Kelly Financial Services.
105 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. Okay, my friends, let me ask you this all-important question. Should sanctuary cities who refuse to cooperate with ICE and harbor illegal criminal aliens, should they be denied not just federal funding, but local, state, and local aid? In other words, should they be punished not just on the federal level, but on the state level? Well, joining me now is somebody who is saying enough is enough. You know him, you love him. State Representative Jeff Deal. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the Kuhner Report.
Hey, Jeff, thanks for having me on. Obviously, this is an important issue, and it's something that, as you just mentioned, a lot of people are very concerned about the fact that sanctuary cities are harboring criminal, illegal immigrants in our country, in our state specifically, and that's what we're trying to protect.
Now, Representative Deal, that I just want to make sure I have the information here correct. You have filed a House budget amendment, and also joined by several other Republican lawmakers, that would block local aid to sanctuary cities such as Lawrence, Salem, Boston, Somerville, Cambridge, Amherst, and Northampton. Is that true? And why do you want state or local aid blocked? What's the reason? What's the rationale for your amendment?
Well, Jeff, first of all, yes, we're filing language that is going to be taken up in this budget week, this week up on Beacon Hill. And what we're trying to do is say that local aid should not be sent to any city or town or any municipality that determines itself to be a sanctuary city or, or sanctuary or welcoming city that's going to basically harbor illegal immigrants that are here with criminal backgrounds and prevent local law enforcement from working with ICE officials to identify and detain them for deportation hearings. That is what federal law requires, is that all states and towns should be working with them. And what they're doing is they're saying that they will refuse to have their local law enforcement identify and deport those who are here illegally with criminal backgrounds. That, therefore, means that we are not getting the money that's being sent to those towns should be cut off if they're not going to use those funds to help work with federal law enforcement to protect their citizens.
Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that your amendment passes. Just for the sake of argument. So say for the town of Lawrence, let's just pick Lawrence as one of many. What aid would exactly be blocked? What would they lose? What kind of funding would they lose?
What we have in the state of Massachusetts is unrestricted local aid. Basically, it's money that can be spent in any direction they want. It's not tied to roads or law enforcement or anything else. It is unrestricted local aid. It is a portion of the money they get from the state for different things. So it's not education funds. Like I said, it's not road funds. It's general aid. And basically, this would then allow the state to cut them off from having those local dollars, the local aid dollars in that can be used at their discretion. And the point is, again, they are not willing to protect their own citizens by preventing their local law enforcement from giving assistance to federal officials trying to identify and deport those in our country illegally that have committed crimes. And that's the main point here, is that they've committed crimes. And sanctuary cities are basically saying that come into our city, come into our town, and we will make sure that local law enforcement does not ask you any questions about your background so that you can then be identified by federal officials and deported. That is not what cities should be doing. They should be working with federal officials to enforce local or state and federal law. And by the way, this is like saying basically, an elected official in some city or town can basically say, look, I'm going to pick and choose what laws I want to obey. Hey, U.S. Marshals, you've got a most wanted list. I'm not going to help you find those people, basically. Fishermen, I guess, down in Bedford, they could basically tell the federal fishing monitors that are on their boats, hey, get off my boat. I'm no longer going to recognize federal law. In fact, what's to say that citizens around the state can't just say, I'm not paying my federal taxes anymore? So that's exactly what these elected officials are doing, is basically saying, I don't feel that this law is something I want to follow in my municipality. I'm going to stop working with federal officials. It's wrong, and the state has to use the power of the purse to end this.
When you say local dollars, you said it's not going to affect funding for the roads. It's not going to affect funding for education. So what kind of areas will it affect?
Well, like I said, it's just general aid that goes back to a city or town. So they can use those dollars in whatever direction they want to. So what we're saying is, look, if you're not willing to use those dollars where we think, you should be working with federal officials. And by the way, we're not even asking them to really spend any money. We're asking them to just allow federal officials to work with local law enforcement, which they do already in other areas, whether it's drug enforcement or, like I said, with U.S. Marshals trying to identify most wanted. This is nothing that's anything new. It is just politicians trying to make some statement that they no longer want to have the rule of law when it comes to immigration laws enforced in their city or town, because this is sort of the trend around the country right now, with these Democrat-leaning states that want to be sanctuary states, or Democrat-leaning cities that for some reason feel that they want to put illegal immigrants over the lives of citizens who've been paying taxes, and all they ask in return is they get protected by having local law enforcement work with federal officials.
Why do you think Dan Rivera or Joe Curtatone or Mayor Marty Walsh, or I could go down the whole list, why are they so committed to sanctuary city policies? What do you think is the ultimate motive, the ultimate drive, why they want to put so many of their own citizens at risk? Is it votes?
Jeff, I can't really tell you the motivation. It doesn't make sense to me. Again, we're living in strange times where, defying federal law when it comes to immigration policies, it seems to be, in vogue with, like I said, the Democrat Party, and specifically Democrat mayors right here in Massachusetts. But look, it's something that it's something that is not even. They make this argument that it costs the state of Massachusetts money to work with federal officials. That's actually not true. If you talk to Sheriff Hodgson of Bristol County, he will tell you that the sheriff's department there has actually received from ICE officials significant revenue to hold the prisoners while they're being detained for deportation hearings, to the point where it's exceeded the amount of money it costs to hold them in the jail cell by millions of dollars. So not that I want this to be the situation, but it's actually in some ways a revenue generator when we hold those illegal immigrants for federal deportation hearings. And yet, you get this bogus argument by mayors around the state that we're losing money working with federal officials. First of all, that's not true. Secondly, you're putting Massachusetts citizens at risk with this sanctuary policy.
Well, I mean, how expensive is it once an illegal alien kills somebody, and then we got to indict them, try them, convict them, imprison them, feed them? I mean, illegal immigration, never mind those that aren't committing violent crimes, but those that are committing violent crimes, it's extremely expensive to have criminal illegals in your community.
Well, and that's the point, Jeff, is that once we determine that they're here illegally with criminal backgrounds, they should have that hearing immediately and then be deported back to their country of origin. And in fact, what we just saw recently was in the city of Weymouth, a woman was raped by an Uber driver, and then the courts actually allowed him to post bond before having him surrender his passport, and he fled the country. These are the situations where we need to have the ICE officials had asked for him to be held so that they could apprehend him and then put him through the process of deporting him. He fled the country, but not before justice was served. In my opinion, again, you've also got the courts that are acting sort of as backdoors to the sanctuary policy, where they're letting people leave the country before they get their hearings, and are basically, made sure that when they're deported, they're put on a list to never come back in again. And this all goes hand in hand with the fact that we need to secure our southern border by finishing the wall down there. I just visited it about 5 weeks ago and saw that there is significant gaps, literally miles-long gaps, where Border Patrol is unable to protect that border, and people are coming across not just the first time, second, third, fourth time, re-entering the country illegally. And we've got to have secure borders so that once they're deported, they no longer come into the country.
We are talking with State Representative Jeff Deal, a Republican from Whitman, one of the few good guys up on Beacon Hill. He is my man. I am supporting him all the way in his bid to challenge Senator Elizabeth Warren, but let that go. State Representative Deal, I want to ask you two very important questions. Number one, what do you say to the argument that the Democrats are making right now and the media about your amendment, that all you're doing is frightening illegal aliens who live in these communities from being able to report on crimes that they witness? And so if you start cracking down on sanctuary cities, you're going to end up seeing a lot more crime because they will be afraid to go to the police for fear that they're going to be, deported themselves. What do you say to that argument?
Well, it's actually the opposite. And what's happening right now, we've actually saw a criminal conviction of 61 MS-13 gang members in the city of Boston. Just a few weeks ago, they were convicted because they've been terrorizing an illegal immigrant community. They're the ones that have actually committed crimes by forcing these people to become part of drug distribution networks in Massachusetts. And they know that they can prey on the illegal immigrant community because they're afraid to, come out of the shadows. We want people to become citizens. This is not about anti-immigration. It's about those who are here illegally with criminal backgrounds. So those MS-13 gang members are the ones who specifically know how to prey on that community. They're the ones that need to, again, be identified and then deported and never come back into this country. But if you had cities like Boston and Lawrence and other cities have their way, those people would not even be recognized by local law enforcement and turned over to federal officials to be deported because they want to protect, and I have no idea why, those who are here in our country illegally and have committed crimes.
Jeff, I can already see the Democrats cutting the ads. Jeff Deal wants to not only revoke federal funding for roads, hospitals, schools when it comes to sanctuary cities, but now he wants to revoke local funding to crack down on sanctuary cities. What do you say to the argument, and you know it's going to come from not just Elizabeth Warren, but from the entire Democratic machine? Here is Jeff Deal looking to stick it to the people of Boston, of Somerville, of Amherst, of Northampton, of Lawrence, of Cambridge. He wants to take away crucial federal and local dollars. What do you say to that argument?
Well, first of all, those cities don't have to follow this policy of sanctuary, which is ridiculous, putting illegal immigrants with criminal backgrounds over the rights of people who are here legally. But secondly, this really speaks more to those elected officials and the decisions they've made. They were sworn in with their right hand in the air, saying that they would uphold the Constitution, not just of Massachusetts, but of the United States. And the Constitution of the United States says that you will protect and defend the lives of those with whom you're elected to represent. And they are not protecting those people's lives by putting them at risk with harboring illegal immigrants with violent criminal backgrounds, A. B, the cost of illegal immigration to Massachusetts alone is $1.8 billion each year out of our budget. And that's draining money away from education funds, away from veterans who've served our country, away from people who need that money for retirement, for housing. And so they're the ones that are actually causing a massive loss of revenue to people in Massachusetts and at the same time putting their lives at risk.
Jeff, one final question. I know you're very busy. What kind of reception has your amendment received up on Beacon Hill? I know Jim Lyons is backing it. I know some other Republicans are backing it. But how are the Democrats responding to your amendment? Are they calling you names? Are the long knives out? Or are you getting some Democratic support?
Well, look, at this point, the budget just started. The debates just started about an hour or so earlier. So we haven't taken this up yet. I have yet to hear from the Democrat side of the aisle on this issue. But yes, I have support on the Republican side, of course. And I think the bigger point here is that anybody who's on the side of citizens of Massachusetts should be supporting this amendment to basically withhold funds from cities or municipalities that decide they want to be sanctuaries and basically harbor those here illegally with criminal backgrounds. That's what this all gets down to. And if you think that you can basically ignore federal laws as a local municipal leader, you're mistaken, and the state needs to hold them accountable in some way.
Jeff, Brittany's been telling me in my ear that today is your birthday. Is that true?
It is true. What a great way to spend my 21st birthday. No, it's my 49th birthday. Yes, it's a great way to spend it up on Beacon Hill.
I was going to ask you, how old are you? So you're 49?
49, sir.
Wow. You know, you're about 6 months older than the Kuhner man. I'm going to be 49 in September.
Well, you look like you're in your 20s. I mean, my gosh, radio keeps you young, sir.
Jeff, well, thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate it. But, I got to ask you this, Jeff. How do you, honestly, because I was thinking about this on my vacation. I'm 48, sliding into 49. The kids are getting a little bit bigger now. I'm starting to push 50. And I'm starting to feel middle-aged. Do you feel middle-aged, Jeff? I mean, really, how do you feel right now?
Well, I don't want to talk about the campaign too much, but I'll tell you, going around the state of Massachusetts, it reinvigorates me. I feel, young at heart by talking to so many great people. So that helps keep me young. But no, my wife and 2 daughters, they're wonderful, and we certainly have great family time at home when I'm able to be with them. And I know we're going to spend some nice time tonight celebrating my birthday. No, I feel young. It's great.
I mean, they say 50 is now the new 40. Do you feel 40? Because honestly, I don't. I feel like I'm pushing 50.
I don't know.
Especially after a day in the pool with the kids.
Yeah. Look, I just want to make sure that my driver's license is still up to date, and that's a win for me on my birthday.
Jeff, what kind of cake you having tonight, buddy? What's your favorite? Chocolate cake? Carrot cake?
Oh, I don't know. We'll see. Ice cream cake usually we do with the kids.
Oh, a little ice cream cake. That's nice. Now, do you have like a special dinner? Like for my birthday, I always get Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's the only time I eat it all year. Do you have like a special dinner?
Yeah, if she's listening, I'd certainly love to have a lobster roll, but you know what? I'm not requiring anything. A hamburger would be great. Whatever. As long as I'm with the family, that's all that counts.
We are talking with State Representative Jeff Deal, one of the few good guys. Please, Jesus, and hopefully the next senator from Massachusetts. Jeff, happy birthday, my friend. All the best to you and your family, and keep up the good fight, because this amendment, Kuhner Country has your back. We need it. God bless you, my friend.
I was going to say, Kuhner Country, I'm listening to you. Believe me, we're working hard up here in Beacon Hill for you. So stay tuned.
God bless you, Jeff. Take care, my friend.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, bye-bye. 617-266-6868. Okay. Did you ever hear of the famous, is she really country music, or is she kind of country pop, Brittany?
She was a lot of country. Now she's more country pop.
More country pop. Okay, so kind of country pop. But anyway, Shania Twain, I even know her music. I like her music. Brittany loves her music. Grace loves her music. Well, it's the Kuhner Country poll question du jour, of the day, as the French would say. Should she have apologized? This unbelievable story next. 127 here on the great WRKO. Okay, the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Kelly Financial Services. Should Shania Twain have apologized? If you believe the answer is yes, A. The answer no, B. You can vote at the Kuhner Report on Twitter, or Kuhner, or you can go to WRKO.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. My friends, this is incredible. I mean, this is unbelievable. So, as many of you know, she's a country music icon. She is, by the way, a Canadian. They love her up north of the border. She's originally from Ontario. And so she was asked in an interview with the Guardian newspaper what she thought of Donald Trump and would she have voted for Trump. Now, she can't vote for Trump because she's a Canadian citizen who, by the way, spends most of her time in Switzerland. Okay? So she doesn't even live in Canada. She pretty much lives in Switzerland. But let that go. And so here's what she said. Quote, I would have voted for him because even though he was offensive, he seemed honest. Do you want straight or polite? Not that you shouldn't be able to have both. But she basically said, look, I don't want a person who's going to BS me. In fact, she even said it. She goes, look, if I were voting, I just don't want, I can't say the word, I just don't want bull crap. I can't say the whole thing. I just don't want BS. I would have voted for a feeling that it was transparent. And politics has a reputation of not being that, right? So, essentially, she came out and said, look, I'm not an American, but you're asking me an honest question. I'm going to give you an honest answer. He seemed like a non-politician. He seemed like a straight shooter, a little bit crude, a little bit vulgar, not crazy about all of that, but he's honest. He's a no BS kind of a guy. He tells it like it is. You can relate to him. I like him. I would have voted for him. My friends, all hell broke loose on social media. I mean, all hell. The liberal left, the social justice warriors, went on social media and started to hammer, bully, intimidate, and go after Shania Twain. In fact, they were openly saying she has just destroyed her career. She just released an album. Apparently, it's doing extremely well. Well, here, I'm just going to give you a taste of what was said about her on social media. At Shania Twain, Trump is honest? Really, sis? Just say you're ignorant and go. Another one. So today was the day that at Shania Twain was canceled. To be fair, she was bordering on it with her latest album. Never mind today's little Trump-supporting revelation. And they just started to go on and on. Another one, Trump supporting Shania Twain, denying her gay fans civil rights. How the hell does supporting Donald Trump deny homosexuals their civil rights? Then another one. By endorsing Trump, she's denying transgender rights. Then another one. By endorsing Donald Trump, she's denying rights for minorities and women. And immediately, people were saying they're going to destroy her albums. They're going to take her off their playlist. They're never going to buy anything of Shania Twain's ever again. Never listen to another song or another CD or buy an album or whatever. And so, with the massive social media backlash, Shania Twain issues an apology. She walks her support of Trump back. What did she say? That story, your reaction next. But first, the nude suspect, the guy running around naked in the greater Tennessee area, the suspect in the attack at a Tennessee Waffle House, he is still on the run. Evan Heidenrich is in the WRKO newsroom. He's got all of those details. What are they, Evan?
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
Well, they loved her until she came out and said, yes, I would have voted for President Trump. I would have. He's an honest guy who doesn't give you any BS. Well, now, my friends, she is in the middle of a massive public firestorm. But before I get to that story, tune in for the WRKO box office cue to call Thursday at 8:30, 2:30, and 5:30 for your chance to win a pair of tickets to legendary folk rock singer and Grammy Award winner Art Garfunkel at the City Winery in Boston on May 11th and May 12th. Enjoy hearing some of your favorites from this rock and roll Hall of Famer in City Winery's intimate venue. For tickets, visit citywinery.com. Okay, my friends, so she's Canadian. She cannot vote in an American election. In fact, as I said, she spends most of her time in a villa in Switzerland. When she's not cutting country music albums, she basically lives with her husband in Switzerland. She keeps a very low profile. Well, she was asked by the British newspaper The Guardian, hey, would you have voted for Trump? She said, yeah, I would have. If I was an American, I probably would have voted for him. As I pointed out before, the backlash was immense. And so now Shania Twain, under withering criticism, saying she's betrayed her fans, she's a racist, she's a bigot, she hates gay people, she's homophobic. I mean, they threw everything at her. She now has come out and essentially apologized. Here is what she said in a series of tweets. 1, I would like to apologize to anybody I have offended in a recent interview with The Guardian relating to the American president. The question caught me off guard. As a Canadian, I regret answering this unexpected question without giving my response more context. So notice now, she's kind of hiding behind her Canadianness, right? She's trying to almost like, hey, look, guys, I'm not an American. I can't vote. I didn't vote. Don't take it personally. I'm Canadian. Did you know I'm Canadian? Did I tell you I'm Canadian? I can't vote. So she's trying now to put maximum distance. She continues. I am passionately against discrimination of any kind and hope it's clear from the choices I have made and the people I stand with that I do not hold any common moral beliefs with the current president. So basically, I'm not racist. I don't like this guy. Nothing he says I believe in. We don't share any values, none whatsoever. She continues, I was trying to explain in a response to a question about the election that my limited understanding, so now she's basically calling herself almost stupid, that my limited understanding was that the president talked to a portion of America like an accessible person they could relate to, as he was not a politician. My answer was awkward, but certainly should not be taken as representative of my values, nor does it mean I endorse him. I make music to bring people together. My path will always be one of inclusivity, as my history shows. So basically, diversity. I believe in diversity. I love everybody. I'm inclusive. Please, don't hate me. My fans, come back to me. And I swear, I'm reading this, and I've got to ask this question. How is this different from what you used to see in the Soviet Union or the Cultural Revolution in China? How dare you say anything against the regime? How dare you think for yourself? How dare you have any views that are against the prevailing leftist orthodoxy? And you must publicly repent. You must apologize and renounce those views and throw yourself at the mercy of the modern day censors that now dominate the social media platform. I mean, honestly, I'm looking at this and I'm like, what's wrong with supporting Donald Trump? First of all, she's not even, this is what I don't get. All those idiots complaining, she can't vote. Unless she wants to be an illegal, but let that go. She can't vote. So it's an opinion that essentially means nothing. It's meaningless because she can't vote. That's number one. Number two, she didn't vote. Number three, what? She doesn't have the right to have her own opinion? In other words, look what they're trying to do. They're trying to delegitimize not just Trump's election, but for even saying that you support or back the president of the United States. They're trying to do, think about it, it's almost like, well, you're supporting Trump, it's like you're supporting Hitler. I mean, how can you support Hitler? You can't support Hitler. Well, you can't support Trump. Well, why shouldn't she? She's a country music icon. I bet her audience is full of the so-called deplorables. Her concerts sell out in the United States. You listen to many of her songs. A lot of it is God, country, family. A lot of these are the songs that resonate in the heartland, in small towns, in rural America. What's wrong with her supporting a candidate that they voted for? Who, by the way, I'm sorry, is turning out to be one of the best presidents this country's ever had. And it's the blatant disinformation. I'm just giving you facts. No one has done more for the LGBTQ community than Donald Trump. That's a fact. Gay, lesbian unemployment is at record lows. The African American community, no one has done more for blacks in America than Donald J. Trump. That's a fact. Black unemployment now is the lowest it's been in 50 years. Latino unemployment at record low levels. So you look at somebody like Donald Trump, what he's done for working class people, middle class people, minorities of all kinds. This is a man who destroyed and smashed ISIS in Syria, which went around not just beheading Christians and Yazidis, we're throwing gays and lesbians off of rooftops. This is the biggest opponent radical Islam has had in the last 30 years. Are you guys on crack? Now, you disagree with them. It's a free country. But since when do we now literally demonize and destroy somebody simply based upon a political opinion? By the way, an opinion by a foreigner who can't even vote in our own election. So why even ask the question? In other words, I can only give you one answer. I hate Trump. And if I say anything else, you're going to destroy me. Well, that's not freedom. And so what you're seeing now is the thought police. And you're seeing now an assault on freedom of expression, on freedom of speech. This woman's going to see her career go up in smoke over what? One comment? Or even if you, I read to you her supporting comment. Even then, she said, I don't like some of the offensive stuff, and I wish he would be more polite, and maybe not be so crude at times. But, he's a transparent guy, and he's not, he's not a BSer. So it seems like an honest guy. He's a straight shooter. What's wrong with that? That's it. That's it. And for this, you want to destroy this woman? Now, it's not just Shania Twain. I can't believe I'm about to say what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it. I'm no big fan of Kanye West, but he just went up in my book. So here is now what's taking place. Now they're trying to bring down Shania Twain. Now the radical left is gunning for Kanye West. Now, when under George W. Bush, over Hurricane Katrina, when he said George Bush was killing black people, ooh, the media loved him. Ooh, the left and the liberals loved him. He was the great Kanye. But in 2016, Kanye looked around and said, what have the Democratic Party ever done for, my peeps? My fellow African Americans in, say, urban areas, they've done nothing for us. What do we got to lose? Let's give Trump a chance. And so he actually supported Donald Trump. Well, the hip-hop people they gave him a break on that one. But now, there is a prominent black conservative YouTuber. She's very big on Facebook with a lot of videos. Her name is Candace Owens. She's black, she's a woman, she's conservative, and she's very pro-Trump. In fact, she's the communications director for Turning Points USA, which helps to promote conservative values and conservative speakers on campus. She is a fierce opponent and critic of Black Lives Matter and of the whole notion of so-called white privilege. And so Candace Owens, think about this, goes on college campuses and says, stop it with the slavery, stop it with the segregation, stop it with white privilege, because every American, as she puts it, is overly privileged. If you look at the history of the world, and you look at the world around us, if you live in America, regardless of the color of your skin, you are the most privileged person in the world. And she's completely right. And so now Kanye West has said he supports Candace Owens. Why can she not go and talk on campuses? The left are now trying to boycott her. They want to shut her down. They want to prevent her from speaking out on college campuses. And so Kanye West, listen to this, has now basically he's writing to Candace Owens' rescue. This is Kanye West. Even Kanye saying it's getting out of control. Kanye West, quote, this is what he tweeted out. We live in a time where people don't respect people for being themselves. True. Completely. Quote, another one. The thought police want to suppress freedom of thought. Completely right. We have freedom of speech, but not freedom of thought. Kanye, pretty soon that speech is going to be gone too, my friend. He talks about the people who are going after Candace Owens. He calls it the psychological zombie effect. They're like zombies. They're like drones. You can't be a black conservative. They must destroy a black conservative. Any conservative, but especially black conservatives. Demonization has metastasized, as he put it. And so, according to him, he is now defending Candace Owens. And because of his defense of Candace Owens, now the hip-hop community is revolting and rebelling against Kanye West. Listen now to what they're calling him. They're now calling Kanye West, the guy who hated George W. Bush, this huge hip-hop rap artist. He's now, quote, the black Donald Trump. He's now being labeled as the black Trump. And they're saying if he doesn't pull his support for Candace Owens, his career is finished. He will never sell another album again. He will never be able to go on tour, that they are going to blackball him, boycott him, and destroy him. So I ask you, they're going after Shania Twain. Now they're going after Kanye West. Today it's them. Tomorrow it will be you and me. Is Kanye West correct? Is freedom of thought and freedom of speech under assault? And are liberals trying to delegitimize conservatives? 617-266-6868. Shania Twain, she apologized. Should she? Your reaction next. 157 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. Okay, you can text us at to WRKO, whatever your message is, to 70470. Brittany, we're getting a lot of texts from people saying they've lost a lot of respect for Shania Twain. That they're saying, that this was a flip-flop, that she betrayed her principles, and that they just, she basically, let's be honest, she basically behaved like a coward. She was faced with a backlash. She didn't stand by what she said. Essentially, you put enough pressure on her, and she folds like a cheap deck of cards. So my question to you is this. As a big Shania Twain fan, are you disappointed in Shania Twain's apology?
I am. I'm very disappointed that she would take back what she said. And a little bit of a coward for that. However, if there is going to be a major boycott of Shania Twain, I am not going to not be a fan anymore.
Oh, you're still going to listen to her music?
I will still be a fan of hers. I'm not a fan of people boycotting people over what they say. I think that if you believe it, say it, and never apologize for it. So I'm a little disappointed in her, but I'm not going to not be a fan.
I don't think she should have apologized.
Me neither.
And to me, if you believe it, you stick by it. And I'm sorry. I mean, if people can't handle a difference of opinion, then what kind of a free society do we really have?
You're right.
617-266-6868. John on the Cape. You're up next. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Thanks, Jeff. Jeff, Shania should not apologize for the truth. These people are not her friends. These people turned on her in a heartbeat, and you can't deny the truth. She mentioned that Donald Trump was crude, which is possibly true, but I'll tell you one thing, Jeff. There's nothing cruder than attacking the Constitution, the freedom of speech. There's nothing cruder than attacking the right to Second Amendment. There's nothing cruder than endorsing the killing of unborn children through Planned Parenthood, with Barack Obama said, God bless Planned Parenthood, which was founded by Margaret Sanger, who called blacks and immigrants weeds that never should have born. Margaret Sanger's statue is in Boston, South Park Meeting House there in Boston.
Amen. Amen. I mean, honestly, I believe in freedom. Do you?
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 100.7 WZLX HD2 Boston, an iHeart radio station.